Hello and welcome to the IdeaCast interview series, episode number 143. My guest in this episode is Sawani Soman. I had been a guest on her show. She kindly invited me onto her show, and I had to have her on mine after our conversation over there, and I'll put a link down below. Sawani has a really great story to tell about being burdened with quite a bit of health issues, physical health, that translated over into emotional health, and she moved through all of that and overcame those issues, and we talk about that in this conversation. She tells a very inspiring story, and she walks the walk and lives the life that she talks about in her own show that she does, and she brings people on that have stories similar to hers, and they examine that. So we examine her in this conversation, and I very much appreciate having her as a guest. I hope you enjoy this episode, and thank you very much for being here. And I'd like to welcome Sawani Soman to the IdeaCast interview series. I will confess that, well, it's not really a confession. I will state that Sawani and I had a conversation last week for her YouTube channel, for her show, and that'll be coming out soon, and I may even link it to the description field of this video. Yeah, in fact, I will. I'm going to declare that I will. So, Sawani, welcome. Glad to have you.
I'm truly grateful to be here. Thank you.
Yes. So this is ostensibly our second conversation, but it'll be my hosting you this time, and I'm really looking forward to it because I think you have an amazing story to tell. It's one that needs to be heard. I think, yours is a case that I think echoes throughout our culture, throughout humanity, however you want to frame that, whatever scale you want to go to. I think you can speak to some ideas that we can all connect with when it comes to dealing with adversity or dealing with overcoming not just limitations, but just outright physical pathologies and emotional roadblocks and things like that. So if you're good, let's go ahead and have you start with a little background, a little story of yourself that we can then become acquainted with where you're coming from. And then I want to just open up and talk about some of the wonderful things you're doing and some of the advice that you give people. And we'll call that an enlightening conversation. So I'll hush and just let us know what's up with you.
Sounds good, and thank you for the introduction. So I was born in India, and I had a troubled childhood in a way that I was always looking for to be heard. And that emotion in my childhood has left a lot of scars. And this is, of course, I have realized it way, way later. But I was always looking for the love, for being heard. And because somewhere I felt like that was not happening, again, completely something what I was feeling at that time, my best friend became food. Food was everything for me. I would indulge in anything and everything I can. And of course, as I was growing up, I was always a fat kid. I was never, and I never looked at myself in that way, but the society always reminded me that, okay, you are a fat girl. Either I was bullied in school a lot. I was body shamed by even family members, or even if I go anywhere else. So that has been my childhood. And I don't know if to escape that, I moved to US. But I don't think so that was an escape. But I wanted to do something exciting, and that's why I moved to United States. And but after coming here, I didn't realize I was it's not with the people, but it's again how I felt about myself, and I started feeling very lonely. And now there was no one to ask what I'm eating, what I'm doing. So food again became my best friend, and it was this time it was more unhealthy food than and the timings was completely off. Like I would eat at 1 a.m. at the night, or
Okay. Okay, your
Okay.
camera froze for just a second, but I paused and we're back. So
Okay.
you were eating irregular hours, I think is where we
Yeah,
were.
eating irregular hours, and I was under depression. I was not aware of this thing that I was under depression. But I started not to go outside with anyone. I started becoming very aloof. I was only working from um, like I will start working at morning 8:30 and I'll end working at 9 p.m. My social life was
Mm.
completely off. I would hide even if I'm taking pictures, I would only take selfies. I was that not really looking forward to go with like to go out there about how I look, how I feel, and I was completely unaware of what was happening, and I was under this state for 4 years, 4 to 5 years, more than that. And then one day I started feeling a little bit uneasy, and because of that I actually went to my gynecologist to show that something is, I don't feel great about certain things. And there I was clinically diagnosed depressed. They gave me some form to fill up, and because she sensed something, my blood pressure was completely off. And this was at the age of 27. So, and that was a shock for me that, oh, my blood pressure is this high. It was like 156 over 100.
Wow.
And, uh, and also I was clinically depressed. I was declared clinically depressed. I was told to check with the therapist, and I was under the observation because they were really surprised how at the age of 27 my blood pressure is this high.
Hmm.
And I was monitored for a month, and then I was also prescribed with the medications for hypertension. And I have grew up in an environment where, okay, taking medicine is fine, like that will help to relieve the symptoms. So I was like, okay, my dad had blood pressure, so maybe it's a hereditary. I mean, yes, getting at the age of 27 was something I was not expecting to happen. But then
Hmm.
I somewhere accepted the fact that, okay, I'll take pills and I'll feel good. And at that time I only was taking 1 or 2 pills, so I was fine with that thing somewhere. But
Hmm.
then eventually from 2 pills it became four. And then it was a signal that I was getting from the universe that something is wrong and I need to take action. But I was
Hmm.
not taking any action, and I was absolutely obese. I was 248 pounds.
Hmm.
And one day I started feeling chest pain, and I got freaked out that, okay, what is happening with me? And I even told my husband that maybe we need to call the emergency. And I actually went to the emergency thinking that it's a heart attack because my
Hmm.
left side was paining and I was having a shallow breathing. And after going there, I came to know, okay, I have severe GERD. Again, I had no idea what does that mean. But then I was again prescribed with some new medications. I
Hmm.
was I was also at that time they checked my like blood samples and they declared as pre-diabetic. And then I was like also diagnosed with sleep apnea because my sleep was not I was snoring a lot, and then I was not getting enough sleep. I was always unenergetic. So that were the signs of sleep apnea. And then I did the test, and I was also prescribed with CPAP machine. And that was, I think, my lowest point. Like by the time when I was getting a CPAP machine, it was all fancy for me. I honestly, my thought was, oh, this is something cool that I have to put the
Okay.
external oxygen and something like that. But then when I started using the machine, then it really hit me that, oh my God, this is not natural. This feels something different. I'm not at all comfortable. But then I was told by doctors that if I don't use the CPAP machine, there is a chance I might get a heart attack pretty soon, because my blood pressure was, even if I was taking medications, my blood pressure had once hit 180 over 105. So it was that bad. So there was always a scare of getting a heart attack. And then we decided, during the holidays, we decided to go on a road trip. to Utah. And my doctors told me, okay, I have to carry this CPAP machine. And that felt really weird. That felt something is not normal. And that was the lowest point, that, okay, I cannot breathe at the age of 27. I'm taking like 8 to 10 medications. I've been told to opt for surgeries. And it all came down. And again, with the CPAP, it was really, really difficult. I was not able to make friendship with the CPAP. And I think that was the turning point, that I started asking questions. And those questions really changed my path. One of my friend, like maybe because I was asking these questions to the universe, that why me? Is there any possibility of not going through surgeries? But there should be some way to heal myself. And I believe, like, at that point, I was ready to take action. By this time, I was just going with what doctors were telling me. I was just listening and believing that that is my real truth. But then, when I realized that, okay, the CPAP machine is causing me more stress, and because of that, my blood pressure is increasing a lot, then I had to take this decision that, okay, I have to tell to the doctor that, okay, I don't want to use CPAP. And that was the first time in my life I said no to someone. And saying no to a doctor was such a big thing for me, because I still believe that doctors can help with surgeries and stuff like that. But getting down to the root cause, not everyone can help you with that. And saying no to a doctor was a big thing for me. But then when I did that, I felt so empowered. And I believe, like, it was the doctor was a little bit upset with me that, okay, why you are saying no to a CPAP machine. I was like, okay, even if I die, I don't care, but I don't want to use the CPAP machine anymore. And then, of course, the lifestyle, I changed my lifestyle, and within like 3 to 4 months, all the diseases went away naturally without any medication. Of course, blood pressure, I had to tell my doctors that, okay, this is a lifestyle I'm working on. I still follow plant-based whole food lifestyle. But at that time, I had to tell the doctors, because blood pressure is something like this. When you start taking the medications, it affects your body, and your body gets used to those medications. And then when there is a time that you have decided you want to reverse the disease, you have to tell the doctors. That's a requirement, because they will take care that nothing adverse is happening with your body. So it took time to build trust with the doctor, that, okay, because even for them, it's required to trust you that, okay, you are taking the right actions, you are ready to take that step. And one day I remember, like, I was walking and I actually fell down on the road. I felt that dizzy. My blood pressure went way below down, because I was doing two good things at the same time. I was on a better lifestyle. I was following a better lifestyle, and I was taking medications. So two good things. Because of that, my blood pressure went way, way down while walking. So that was a turning point when my first blood pressure medication got reduced by this way. And then I was monitored for 4 months, and slowly, all the medications went away. Of course, GERD took the longest, because I decided to do it naturally. So it was more like understanding my body.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Can you tell us what GERD is, GERD?
It is gastroesophageal, like, it's basically what happens is your esophagus. At least with me, what happened is either you have a lot of acid in your stomach, or sometimes the acid is less in your stomach. So if the acid is more, it's an acidity. With me, what happened is my acid was less. And because of that, the lining of the stomach, there was bad bacteria was too much, and that started causing ulcer in the lining.
Okay.
Yeah, so, and because of that, like when I was ingesting the food, it was not getting digested because there is no acid to digest that food. And so it was coming up till here. And the esophagus has become very thin in my case
Mm-hmm.
because of
Mm-hmm.
that. The food was coming up very easily. And because of that, I was not able to breathe and all that things. And then
Mm-hmm.
food was coming up here.
Okay. Okay. And has that healed in totality, the esophageal thinness or the wear that's recovered too? Okay.
Yes, that has
Okay.
recovered completely. And how I came to know is, for example, the garlic. The garlic would cause me flare-ups a lot. I was not able to digest the raw garlic, either in, let's say, in fries or even in any curries or anything like that. But then,
Mm-hmm.
eventually, I was able to digest garlic. Same with cucumbers. Like
Okay.
I was not able to digest cucumber juice or even the cucumbers. And
Mm.
yeah.
Okay. Okay. And in that being the longest healing and recovery process, was that a year or was that, yeah, I think you said 4 months you were able to reverse everything. Was that the end of the 4 months? That was one of the things that sort of tapered off for you.
Yeah, so blood pressure took 4 months.
Okay.
High blood pressure also around the same time because I did the blood work. I came to know I was pre-diabetic, and then after 4 to 6 months, when I again did the blood work, the pre-diabetes, the ranges were down, like it was under the normal ranges. Depression, I honestly don't know when I started feeling better, but it was. Eventually when I started journaling and meditation, it was a slow process, but I honestly, I don't know the timeline, how much time
Yeah.
it took. With respect to GERD, it took the longest. It took like 6 to 8 months because
Okay.
it was all natural healing, no medications, nothing. I was taking medications for GERD, but in between I stopped them. Of course, I had tell this to doctor that okay, I'm going to stop taking medication slowly, and she was aware that I'm doing all these changes
Mm-hmm.
because I wanted to let her know what I'm doing for my safety and for like building that trust with the doctor as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. With regard to the depression, I know you said you did meditation, and what else did you do as far as
Journaling.
journaling? Okay, thank you. And with the food that you were eating, and bringing in a plant-based food lifestyle or food practice, do you think that, I'd say chemically speaking, that ingesting better food, healthier, cleaner food, maybe puts you on a fast track to helping to work with the, I don't want to say heal or anything like that, but just to work with the depression, to bring it wherever it went. And maybe you can tell us about that, because I think it's important. There's a lot of people dealing with depression. I was a depressive as a teenager, but I kind of moved out of it in my mid-20s, but it was years. And so I can kind of relate, but I want to know more. So if you could share that.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing with depression, I feel like, is like telling yourself that you are depressed, you are under depression. Accepting that is the first step. If I was under denial for such a long time, and when I was under denial, nothing happened. I was still the same.
Mm,
So it took some time for me to accept that, okay, I am under depression. Then I started writing down the symptoms, because whatever symptoms I might have it, maybe someone else might have a different symptoms. But there are certain, I think, similar ones, that feeling aloof, lonely, not talking with someone, or maybe
mm-hmm,
having suicidal thoughts, not feeling good about self. Now, this can happen without a depression as well. Like someone might feel they are not enough. So there is a thin line between that. But yeah, of course, with depression, when I started accepting the fact that, okay, I am under the depression, and then what are the signs, I started writing down like how I feel. That was the main thing. What are my emotions? Why I'm feeling in this certain way? And I had a health scare at that time, a lot, or a scare about losing a job. That was the biggest thing at that time, because I also went through a layoff, so that triggered my depression more as well. Then I read a book actually. There were two books that really helped me to start with the plant-based lifestyle, because I was a person who thought who can never do this kind of lifestyle. But then I read a research by Dr. Colin Campbell, how this kind of food helps with overcome depression, anxiety, what happens. And also I read Inner Engineering by Sadhguru. And these two books really helped me to realize that, okay, there are certain things. And then what was happening with me is I was becoming a football of others' opinions. And that was one of the reasons why I was under depression. There were several reasons, but then understanding why I'm feeling this way has really helped me to come out of the depression. And of course, the food played a big role in a way that I was eating the food, and I'm still eating that kind of food which is easy to digest. And it is nourishing and nutritious at the same time. And what happens with that is my mind is clear. What you eat, you become, is the quote. And that's the reality, that if you are eating the nourishing food, your thoughts are nourishing, and you start reflecting that in your speech, in your lifestyle, everything. And that is what exactly happened with me. There is a book called Medical Medium that really changed me. It has given a lot of details about how food and emotions are connected with each other, and how they affect in depression, anxiety, and how to come out of it. And the first thing was juicing a celery juice, and I was like, okay, this is insane. How can I do this? But then when I started doing it, I still do the juicing part. I do ABC juice, apple, beetroot, carrot, or that's my favorite, or just the celery juice. And I had these questions like, okay, why to remove the fiber? Because that is an important aspect. But then I realized that, especially because I was under disease reversal as well, if I had to get rid of all the toxins from my body, then it's really important to not burden the body with lot of food, with lot of fiber, so that it can digest the food effectively, and it can pull down all the bad things or all the impurities in the body. And for that, the lighter you eat, not lesser, the lighter in the sense the food that is easy to digest, so that body is more in the healing mode and not in the digestion mode. And when the body goes in the healing mode, and when the impurities are going are coming out of your body, you are in a zone. At least this is what has happened with me, that I was able to receive a lot of things in a good way. Like I started feeling more energetic. I became more acceptable of my own self. I honestly feel like because I started eating more vegetables and fruits, and I had a different connection with nature, and nature really helps heal a person. Even a walk in the nature really, whatever thoughts we have, they just go away. Even with the stress reduction, it helps. The walk really helps. And another thing that has helped me to come out of the depression is music. Music has played a big role, because I started learning music actually. So there's a very funny story that one day, and I was always like, in my home, my mother is a singer, and she used to sing Indian classical music, but I always stayed away from the vocals. I rejected it because I don't know, there were certain misconceptions in my mind. And a funny thing, like when I was taking blood pressure, I always had a scare that, okay, what will be my numbers? And okay, if like, while having that scare, one day suddenly a piece came on YouTube while checking the blood pressure. And I started listening to it. And in that flow zone, when I checked the blood pressure, it actually got reduced. And then I started thinking, okay, what is happening with me? So it seems like when you hear certain kind of music, it can evoke a certain emotion that can hit the dopamine and reduce your cortisol levels, and that helps to reduce stress. And that is what was happening with me. So I decided that, okay, I'll pursue music, because that gave me, and it didn't happen just once, it happened every time. And not just Indian classical music, it was jazz music as well. Like there was certain kind of music that would invoke in me that like peaceful vibes or something like that, that it helped me to reduce stress. And yeah, so music played a big role. So I think all these things, food, music, and I feel like whatever activity, hobby you do it, that really helps to come out of any stress or depression. That really helps to understand yourself more.
Okay. Now you mentioned your mother was a sang classical Indian music.
Yeah.
Do you sing? Or do you practice
Yeah.
that? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And so the styles you appreciate are both Indian classical music as well as jazz, or is it a listening experience for you that
I
you
enjoy
or
all
both?
kind of music. Yeah. I
Okay.
enjoy, like I learn Indian classical music because there is a connection with me. I feel very meditative when
Okay.
I sing, that I go under meditate. It's like a meditation for me.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I sing as a meditation, and I surrender in that moment to the higher power. I was actually atheist, and because of music, I became a believer of the God and universe. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I enjoy all kind of music,
Okay.
pop music, jazz, classical, anything and everything that really resonates with me. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, I mean, music seems, we take it for granted, I guess. It's so ubiquitous and it's everywhere. But really, if you consider it to be medicine or a nourishment for your psyche, that it has, and that you were raised in an environment with Indian classical music, because I like you, I appreciate everything. But let's see, is it Chinmay Sripada, I think, was a singer that I found years ago that was a good Indian, and her vocal capacity is just absolutely mind-blowing. And there's a gal that I found a few years ago, and she lives in the States now, and she's across the board with bass, but she came from India, and Mohini Dey, I think is her name, and her early music is fusion of jazz and improv, but with the classic Indian undergirding of sitar and the drums and the syncopations that come from very classical music. So, but yeah, music is something we can't take for granted. It's something we have to consider as a healing modality, I guess, in a way. It can also, for me, it can also be cathartic. Like I let things go with music. I'll confess and bear my vulnerability here. I put a song on the other day, and I cry every 10 years or so if I need to, I put this song on and I was like, nobody was around, and I'm like, I started crying, and I'm like, that's good. And I felt good afterwards, and I was like, man, I need that. I should do it more than every few years, it's like, something that's cathartic, to let it go.
Something released, like I believe, like when you cry during meditation or while in music, I feel like you're letting go of something deep within you. And with respect to music, I should give credit to my master guru. His name is Mahesh Kare.
Okay.
And like initially when I heard him, I got stuck with his voice, his everything. And then that really helped me to reduce my blood pressure. I used to listen to his music and to few other people as well. But and he was the motivation that, okay, I want to learn music as a hobby. Initially,
Mm-hmm.
it started as a hobby because it was helping me with my health. But then I think he instilled those values, like by watching him, I realized that, oh, music is beyond just a hobby. It's, for me, it's a meditation. It's a devotion towards the higher power. And yeah,
Yeah.
that changed a lot, and that has helped me with my health aspect as well. My health has improved a lot after starting to learn music. Yeah.
Okay. Can you give me a link to that person, and I'll put it
Yes.
down in the show notes. So if other people are like, and I want to see it too. I
Oh,
want to
yes,
explore.
yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. He's amazing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I did something similar, just to parallel what you're saying. And I bought a physical synthesizer, and then I went down this like big vortex with, virtual synths on the computer and digital audio workstations and processing thing. And I have this obsessive personality, but I love to help blow off some of the day's stress or month stress or whatever, is to get on with those virtual synthesizers and engage, multiple things in a virtual rack and try to get things to coordinate. And I just make drones. I don't have any musical talent, so I can't make music, but making drones is very easy. Anybody can do it who can operate a computer, or just get on your synthesizer and plink plod and doodad, and until you hear something you like. So it's kind of like music for people like me. But anyway, so powerful, so enriching, and I love it. And I've cranked out hours of this stuff, and I actually have some on Bandcamp and a YouTube channel, and it's not anything I'm proud of or I brag about, but it's there if anybody wants to listen to it. But I love it, and you're right. It is just it becomes part of who you are. It becomes an identity attachment, I think, in a good way. It's just like I birth this thing into the world, and I don't care if anybody likes it or not. It's that you birth that, and that kind of power of creativity, if you want to talk about connecting with the divine, I think is valuable, deeply valuable. So here's to more of that. And so would you have the interest or motivation to publish anything you create? Like, would you be willing to share that with the public, or is that private? Is that something you want to?
So I have not created much.
Okay.
I learn vocals from him, from Master Guru and his senior students. So whatever he has composed, it is what we usually learn.
Okay.
And that's very powerful. It's so meaningful and powerful that I truly enjoy that. And now we are learning to create our own music in a beautiful way, whatever we can, because we learn in Indian classical music there is a raga, and each raga has its own when to sing it, and there are certain, I won't say rules, but it's more of a structure.
Okay.
Yeah, and then when certain ragas are sang in that particular time, it evokes certain emotions. And then it's beautiful.
Yeah, I've watched some ragas on YouTube, and I'd love to go to a live experience and just feel it and be in the room with that. Or a kirtan, is that how you say it? When it's a musical ensemble?
Yep.
Yeah. That's been co-opted in the West, and you get like kind of new age hippie type things, but it's still beautiful. But there's like a Western kirtan, or however you would say that. Is, I don't know if it's still popular. I don't know, but I still am familiar with it. But yeah, absolutely. The ragas are beautiful and mesmerizing. So definitely a component of a spiritual life. And let's talk about that, because you said that you went from being an atheist to someone who is open to being with or just acknowledging, or however you want to frame it. I'll let you speak for how you approach that. But with regard to retrieving oneself from, let's say, where you were, in dealing with, body issues or emotional issues, that I think, and I'm saying this as a kind of second person. Like I don't have a deep spiritual practice. I kind of just, you remember from us the other day. I'm it's complicated, but anyway. But I love that, and I love listening to people who have that connection. So, and I'm connected. I just, I go about it in a weird way. So anyway, I'll stop rambling and just check in with you about the connection between feeling that part of your life, that spiritual aspect of yourself, supplying you with the life force and the energy that you need to overcome, again, body weight issues or psycho-emotional issues. So yeah, let's talk about that a little.
Yeah. So, again, like when I look back now, why I was atheist, because I feel like from childhood, I think I had a tendency to ask a lot of questions that, okay, why this, why that? I have that analytical mind, or you can say a scientific mind, that I don't believe in just doing without understanding. I wanted to understand everything. And at least the people around me were not able to give me the details about, okay, why certain things, why, like in India, the festivals are very popular. But then I always had a questions about, okay, why these certain things are happening, and that it never made sense to me. And I started a lot of asking questions, and no one answered. So I started disbelieving that, no, this is not real. This is not truth. And another thing which I think I believed since my childhood, maybe because of books or maybe the kind of things I was listening at that time, that I never believed in any religion. I respect a human being as a human being, no matter what country, religion, where it comes from. It does not matter for me since childhood. But then the people around me always made me feel like, oh, you are something else, and this person is something else based on caste or religion. And that, I think that was one of the trigger point why I moved out of India and came to US. That was just one of the aspects. There were a lot of other aspects, but from the atheist standpoint, these were the reasons why I stopped believing in any religion at that time. But then what changed? Like, I think when I was at this lowest point, I started asking a lot of questions. And when I started getting this health, and I was doing the meditation, like the breath work or the box breathing and all these things. I was doing it even before I was diagnosed with all these diseases. But I was not consistent enough in doing that. But then when my food changed, I think I got more energy to do the meditation, to sit still. And meditation is not something like the thoughts will come, but the reality to observe the thoughts, what thoughts, to face who I am is, I truly feel like is a meditation. Like, because in meditation, a lot of thoughts will come. And initially the thing is to just to observe, okay, what kind of thoughts come to your mind. And what I did was I started writing down. Before the meditation, I started writing down, okay, what I feel uncomfortable today. That has really helped me to get deep into the meditation. And then the things I'm grateful for, I started writing those things. And then when I was sitting for the meditation, and for me, musical meditation started working, because again, there are so many different kinds of meditation, but then I came to know that the musical meditation was the one which resonates with me the most, where I feel myself. I feel like I belong here. My soul belongs here. And when that happened, it truly uncovered certain things. Like I started seeing light energy during the meditation. Of course, it didn't happen in a day or two. With the consistency, it started happening. And because maybe the food I changed, my thoughts, as I said, like what you eat, you become. The more, and even in the gospel, it is written in a lot of like, I don't want to say them religious books, but in lot of this kind of books, it's written that when you start eating the food which is grown from the ground, that's actually help you to vibrate in a different frequency, which can help you to connect with the divine energy. And that I have experienced that in the first hand. And then my scientific brain was like, okay, what is happening with me? I have never experienced this. And so in this way, and then I started reading, like, whatever questions I had in my childhood, that why this thing, why this, that thing. I have read gospel, I have read Christianity books, I have read Bhagavad Gita, and they really helped me to understand the way of life. And it's beyond any religion. It's again beyond anything like that. None of these books say that, oh, follow this religion or follow this and that. It's about how to, we are all humans. We are all same. We are all part of that divine energy. And it's our responsibility that to, act like, have love for everyone. And, we are all same. So let's say if I'm getting angry on someone, that means I'm actually getting angry on myself. It's that level of connection we have, all of us have. And when I started living like that, when I started actually living Bhagavad Gita, whatever these all books say, I actually created my own notes that, okay, what I'll start following. Like, for instance, in some of the books, it's written like, okay, don't work, give your 100%. And that was the most challenging thing for me. Like, whatever I'm working right now, I always had multiple thoughts while working. Okay, if I'm focused right now in this podcast, I might had a thought about, oh, what should I cook tomorrow or something. I was everywhere. When I started practicing this, that, okay, 100% attention is whatever I'm doing it right now. That really, like, that is how I started living those principles, whatever all these books was telling me. And that's how I think it took me over the spirituality. So I would say there is a thin line between being spiritual and religious. I think I'm more on the other side. I don't follow any rituals. I don't follow any religion. But I do believe that there is the higher energy. I have seen that. I experienced that. I know it's helping me and everyone. That's my belief now.
Yeah. Okay. I think you're not alone. I think here in the United States, I think, and I'm not saying this against the existing religions in the United States, but I think a lot of people are starting to just want something that feeds them again spiritually. And so if something, and I'm not going to pick on anything, but if it's not really ticking that for you, that you should feel comfortable enough to, as you did, find some way of resonating with whatever you think is pure or good or divine, and how that can craft a relationship with you so that you are a great expression of yourself and a beautiful expression of yourself. So yeah, I agree with that. And so at the same time, I would say that, as you have pointed out, that the texts, the written word or the printed word, can be informative, and they can be guideposts and signs to help inform someone who is in this formative stage for themselves spiritually. So, it's not to dismiss any of that, but I think where people can get bogged down is they become fundamentalist or dogmatic, and there's certain that certain things are right and certain things are wrong. And yeah, I mean, and there are things that are right and things that are wrong, but yeah, as far as your relationship with that which is X, divine or pure or beautiful, then that's a very personal journey, and it's one that can be informed by gurus and saviors and prophets and things like that. But it ultimately, I think at the end of the day, it rests at your feet that you have to be responsible, like you said, to work at 100% and be disciplined with. Because if it's sacred to you, then it should be something you're willing to commit to 100%. So yeah, I agree. And for anybody listening, I think, it might be a good good suggestion, just to find
Yeah.
what resonates with you and what helps guide you. It's your North Star or your lodestar that guides you through. So now let's see. I think a couple points to cover because I want folks who come here to this conversation to be inspired by what you did. When it came to not eating well, and I'll indict the United States. I won't speak for the rest of the world, but the United States, we have this sort of cliche of sugar, salt, grease, and it's like, and you talk about like medicating with food and the dopamine and the beta endorphins that come out of these kind of foods that deliver that quick hit and that feeling of, well-being and satiation, but then goes away. In your transition to a much healthier plant-based diet, knocking back cravings, catching yourself and saying, and this is coming from some of the videos that you produce, and I'll have, links to the channel. Why am I eating? And what is behind that urge, that desire to eat? So let's cover that and talk about some of the advice that you give on that, because I think it's really important.
Yeah, absolutely. Craving is a big part. So just for the people who don't know my lifestyle, like before, my lifestyle was I love Chick-fil-A. Me and my husband would wait for like 1 hour to get that Chick-fil-A sandwich, especially during the pandemic. It was like that long hours
To wait for the sandwich?
to wait for the sandwich.
Oh my gosh. I'm out of touch.
Takeaway.
I haven't eaten
Uh,
fast food and the last time I did, we had a cat that passed away, and this was like 20 years ago or 15 years. And we went to McDonald's just to punish ourselves and just not to have a good associative memory. So we were upset that our cat had just been put down. So we went to McDonald's so that we could transfer that bad memory. I'm sorry, I'm derailing what you were saying. But
no, absolutely.
okay,
Yeah.
so here you are, you're waiting an hour at Chick-fil-A, which is fascinating to me.
Yeah, In-N-Out was our another favorite for the
Okay.
milkshake, which we get
Oh,
so
yeah, I bet.
great.
Yeah.
So that was our lifestyle, honestly. We would eat like 2 cheesecakes in Cheesecake Factory, 2 cheesecake by
Oh
one
my gosh.
person.
Oh my
So Olive Garden, like name the restaurant, and we used to go there and eat. That
God.
was our lifestyle, and it's
Okay.
nothing against these restaurants. It's
Yeah.
about
In moderation.
in moderation, yeah. And with respect to us, we were like heavy eaters, like 2 cheesecakes. Who eat this much of sugar?
Yeah.
So the way we used to eat was huge. And the craving part, I started understanding this concept when I started for my mental health, I started getting advice from a health coach about it. It was not really about the food, but it was about everything, emotions and everything. She once told me, and I don't think so she will advise it to anyone. I think she advised me to do this crazy thing that, okay, look at the food and ask what kind of nutrition I'm getting it. And I was like, I don't understand why she's telling me to do this exercise. And I was like, okay, I'm open to whatever you say. And I started doing that. And the main reason why she told me is when I decided I want to move to a plant-based lifestyle, my husband was still on the old lifestyle. He didn't do it even initially. He was completely against whatever I was doing. So whenever we go out, I would eat something different and he would eat different. And whatever he ate, I love that. And then I used to feel bad that, oh my God, because of all these diseases, I'm not able to eat it. And that's why she gave me this exercise, like, okay, whatever he's eating, look at that food and ask yourself, what kind of nourishment I'm going to get if I'm going to eat that? Will it affect my body? My body is right now in pain. I started doing that, and eventually I started understanding that why cravings happen, what is the real cause, and that's how I discovered that there are 3 types of cravings. One is a physical craving, which is where some nutrients are required for the body and you are not getting those. For example, let's say that a magnesium is required. Like I'm under a menstruation pain, and at that time, If I like have a little bit of magnesium or iron, it might help me to soothe my pain. That's where the physical craving comes in. And because of this pain or something like that, some women might think of, okay, they want to eat certain sweet or salty. This is a physical requirement that the iron or magnesium is missing. Then the emotional craving comes to the place. And that is what was happening with me, the emotional craving that, let's say I want to talk my truth out loud and I was not able to talk that. So I used to crave a lot of salt. And there are certain triggers, like when our human body feels stressed, again the humans feel like to eat more salty food. Or when you are bored, someone might want to eat sugary food. So there are certain aspects, and this is all emotional eating. It's not really, it's some emotion, some feeling has triggered that thing. Okay, now whatever that emotion is, depending on that, you will feel either salty, either sugary, or either crunchy. Especially the crunchier one is what I have observed is when someone is bored, or that time the crunchiness gives that hit that, okay, and then the person feels better. Or maybe they have a big, the day was full of lots of there were a lot of things that someone was uncomfortable, then the crunchier feeling gives a different kind of effect, and that's why human beings might crave. So that these are all emotional patterns. And when I started understanding that, okay, if I'm overwhelmed, I'm feeling to eat a lot of cheese, this is my pattern. I started understanding those patterns, and that really helped me to get down with the cravings. Now, I never stopped eating pizza or burgers or anything like that. It just that I replaced it with the healthier version. Instead of eating in a fast food chain, I would make a bread at home, and I would make that burger at home. And another thing I realized in this journey about cravings is our five senses are working when we look at the food, and that's also another part of craving. It again comes into the physical craving, or the third type, which is habitual craving. Habitual as in, I have a habit of eating cheesy food, for example. So if I'm replacing the cheese with the plant cheese, and the how it tastes, how it looks, the smell, and the flavor, all these things, if it matches with that unhealthier version, it's a habitual. I will eat that kind of cheese even if it is healthier. So I started making those connections that, okay, this is what it is. And that has really helped me to sustain this lifestyle, because I had tried all the diets out there. Nothing has worked out, and I've been on dieting for 20 years. Before 2019, I had tried every single thing. After 2019, when I opted for this lifestyle, I eat everything. And of course, I mean, within the plant-based whole food, but anything and everything I can eat that. Breads, this and that, made at home, which is homemade. And that has helped with craving. Like today, if I crave for a cookie, I make it at home, and I don't feel guilty or anything like that. I eat whatever I want, and I honestly love that. And even there are certain cafes and restaurants which now serve healthier version, which does not have white sugar. They add dates or maple syrup, organic, and I've found this kind of places, and I don't feel like I'm missing out on anything. And many people think like, oh, you are living a lifestyle which is impossible. And I honestly feel like I had a same feeling when I started that, okay, what is this? But now when I'm on this lifestyle for last 5 years, I feel like it is a game changer for me. It's sustainable. It's absolutely, now, of course, when we went to Italy or when we went to some other places in the world, of course, there were times where I was only drinking smoothie or I was only having a fruit. But again, I believe in this fact that our body does not need that much food. Again, it's a habitual thing that, oh, I need to eat this much of the meal. It's more habitual. And because I did some research before going to certain places where I knew that I may not get the food, I was well prepared that I had my own food with me. And that's another way of managing this lifestyle where, and also, like, sometimes it has happened that if I'm really hungry and I need food, there are a lot of options out there. Fruits are my best friends. I can eat anything and everything with respect to food, and I love exploring that aspect. And I get cravings now for eating fruits also. So coming back to your question, it's when our all five senses are working, and when we understand that, okay, what I like the most, like, first of all, what is my emotion and why I'm feeling certain way, and then when we start making the connection with the food, that really helps to dig down. Okay, and sometimes it's necessary to fill your cravings in a healthier way, because it's especially when it is a physical craving, when you are missing out on some nutrition, like for example fiber. It's really important to, and the sugar is also not bad at all. Natural sugar is required for the brain development. So yeah, if you're craving for sugar, there is a way, like eating banana or eating dates sometimes helps to bring that craving down.
We're actually coming up on an hour, and I want to open up a space for you if there's something that we hadn't or I hadn't brought up in this conversation that you want to cover before we bring this conversation to a close. Let's explore some other ideas that you might think would be good to amend to what we've talked about so far, if it's exercise or whatever you think needs to be help complete what we've done.
Yeah, so I would say about the affirmations that has played a big role in my healing, because I had a health scare that something will happen to me, and I used to get anxiety at night because I was not able to breathe during initial days. But then I started writing down that my body is healing, I am enough, I'm feeling better, I'm healing. I started writing this down, talking aloud, and that has helped me to heal myself. Positive affirmations. And I read a book by Joe Vitale, and that has changed my way of like creating affirmations and writing affirmations for myself. And with respect to exercise, I used to believe that of course strength training is important, because with me what happened is because I was obese, initially my focus was not on strength training, and that was fine at that time because my knees would hurt even if I walk for 20 minutes. So but I kept the consistency of walking, doing aqua zumba. But then what I realized is people will give you all this different kind of exercises and this and that, and there's always something popular in your area. Either it might be Pilates, either it could be Zumba. But what has really helped me is what I love to do it, and if I do that as an exercise, whatever gets your heart really beats up, pump up, that kind of exercise, and that you enjoy, that will really help to stay healthy. In my case, it is aqua zumba. I'm a water baby. I love swimming. I love aqua activities and walking.
Okay.
So that has helped me to stay healthy, active. And I truly believe that exercise is required for your heart health and for your body to function. does it count with weight loss or anything like that? Not much. It's really, this is what I believe, it helps with digestion, but there is no direct connection between weight loss or anything like thing. Of course, it keeps your bones and everything healthy. It keeps your heart healthy, and it helps in digestion. I think these are the important aspects of exercising. And but then, with respect to exercising, this is something I have realized, that when I used to exercise I used to do heavy exercising before. What used to happen with me is I never liked that kind of exercise. I used to do Pilates and I never enjoyed that. And I used to get stressed, and because of that, I used to eat more after that. And the main reason was I never enjoyed what I was doing, the kind of exercise I was doing. But then when I switched that to Aqua Zumba, the activities which I loved it, I enjoyed it, then it doesn't feel like, oh, I have to do it. It feels like, oh, this is part of me and I'm just enjoying it. And it doesn't feel like exercise. That has been a game changer for me. Again, even walking, I love walking. A lot of people have told me, why don't you run? And why don't, if I don't enjoy it, why should I do it?
Yeah.
If you enjoy it, yeah, of course, go ahead. It's good for your health. But there are a lot of other things good for your health. So do what you like. I think that has been a biggest change for me. Yeah.
Okay. I've got a funny little story about exercise that just dawned on me this week in an epiphany. I lead a team of surveyors for the Department of Agriculture, and we go out into citrus groves and we inspect trees for diseases and vectors and things like that. Well, one of the crew that I work with, we each get these little, they're called side-by-sides or UTVs. They're like little four-wheel drive carts. They'll fit two people, and they'll have a little back storage thing. And everybody gets, they're teams of two, but we get those, and one had broken down, and so I sent them off in my UTV to go get a truck and a trailer to pick this thing up. Well, I was kind of just standing there bored, and here's this broken down machine that weighs about 1,400 pounds. So I said, well, I'll expedite things. So I just started pushing it on this dirt road, this kind of, it's not even a road. It was just a path in the citrus grove. So I pushed it about 300 yards or so until I couldn't do it. But I was so like cardio, and I thought, I'm going to do this with mine on my breaks or just when I'm bored, and just push this thing, because I was just like pumping my heart, my lungs, and I was breathing heavy, and I'm out of shape. So, and I'm middle aged, so it doesn't take much, but I was so like, wow, here's a free resource for me. So I'm going to look like a fool, I think, but I'm going to get in my Kubota that I have, and I'm just going to push it around and get, because normally at work, it's a very, as you can intuit, we're riding around in these things. We don't get a lot of exercise, but on my lunch break, I walk. I try to walk about a mile and a half on my lunch break, or if I'm, if the crew doesn't need me to help them with anything, I can be on my own and I can go walk. But I just had this aha moment. Out of necessity, because I wanted to actually it was practical because the truck wasn't going to be able to get in where we were. And I just said, well, I'll just do this. And so anyway, it's a funny little tangent, but.
Did you enjoy that moment?
I did. I was like, because I was out of breath and my heart was pounding and I felt it in my muscles. And I thought, this is what I need, because the walks are okay, but they're not aerobic. They're just kind of burning a few calories maybe, and maybe a little bit of cardio. But this was intense. This was heavy duty. And I thought, man, if I do this for a total of 25 minutes a week or something, I'll either have a heart attack or I'll have I'll up my game and get a little healthier. So, I mean, I'm not in bad shape because my wife and I hike a lot. We go to nature preserves and we walk 3 or 4 miles on the weekends. So I'm not a couch potato, but it was just fun. I was like, well, I've discovered a free resource.
Yeah. Nice.
So, but it speaks to this idea of you have to love it. And so this appealed to me. So anyway, if there's nothing else that you want to include in this conversation, I'd say we've given the audience quite a bit to think about, quite a bit of inspiration to process. And to the audience, I'll have links to Savni's work down below. And if you want to come back in the future, and in fact, let me ask you one last question. With your story, with what you're doing, and I'm familiar with your YouTube channel, do you have aspirations for something for the future that you want to do to either expand the work you're doing or continue the work in a novel way? Do you have any ideas that you can share for what is on your path that you can imagine?
Absolutely. So there are a lot of paths, there are a lot of different directions, but some of the things which has inspired me and what I want to do for others is there is no one way of healing. That is what I have understood. There are a lot of different ways, and people need to know all the ways, because then whatever will resonate with them, it will help them to heal. It might be music, it might be art, it might be anything out in the world, and I want to make it available for the people through podcast. That's my one of the goal. That and even I get the opportunity to learn different techniques and to I love learning, I love implementing whatever resonates with me. And this is one of the things. And the another thing is I absolutely want to help anyone and everyone out there in the world who feels like, oh, they can't reverse a chronic disease, because I have lived that truth for a longest time, that okay, if you have a chronic disease, you cannot heal that. You have to take medicines. I was told this for a long time, and I believed it for the longest time. So, and when I busted that myth, I want to tell the reality to the world that it's absolutely possible with the right choices and the journey. Like people say that, oh, you are so strong and this and that, but then there's a lot that happened. Like eventually my family was not ready to accept this change. Like even they were not like, of course, I mean, they supported me, but they were not on the board that, oh, you absolutely should do this, because they had doubts. I was convinced that I will do it, because I had either death or this thing. I had only these two things. So I had to take the decision. And then another thing is the society. There were a lot of friends who they were not happy with the kind of lifestyle I was doing it. But then I realized that if they're not happy, it's not my problem. I have chosen to be better, and if people are not able to understand, I better like stay away from this kind of people. And that has been the fact that my social life took a toll initially, because I was not ready to be like, I was not convinced here why I'm doing this. My purpose was not clear. But when it became clear, and absolutely it became clear when I reversed the diseases. And that's how my why became more powerful, that, okay, whatever people say, I don't care. I'm seeing the reality, because the girl who was not able to breathe is now able to breathe. That's a huge thing. What else? I don't have to tell the truth. Like, you don't have to convince it to anyone if someone is not convinced. So yeah, social and still people say sometimes something hurtful to me sometimes, that, oh, you are young, that's why you were able to reverse these diseases. I mean, it does not matter even if you are young or not young. I mean, it takes a dedication, and your why is stronger. For having your strong why, it's beyond age. It's about accepting the fact that why you are doing it, and working on yourself, and that does not require age. So I think and that's the reason why I post whatever I post on YouTube, and why I help people. That because there is a lot of the younger generation is facing these issues which I have gone through. I know someone recently at the age of 33, they suffered a heart attack. And this is getting very common. And So I want to help, I want to bring out that reality. So it especially helps the younger generations to not to suffer and to live their life fully, because these are the years where, I mean, any age, if you are healthy, you can live the life. So it does not matter. But then younger ages where your bones are, they are working fine, where when you age, the bones might, like, because you're aging does have certain aspect on your health. So yeah, so I want to help the younger generation, especially the working ones, because I work in a corporate industry. I work in cybersecurity, and the myth is that the engineers don't get time to look up to themselves. And it's not just with the engineers, anyone working in the corporate, they have this thing. And like, I want to burst that myth that everything is possible. It does not depend on what kind of work you do. It's beyond work. If you decide, anything is possible. Yeah.
That's a wonderful way to end this conversation, or to the note to leave it on. And I think, and I like being confrontational sometimes. If I had overheard somebody say that to you, that it's just because you're young, I would maybe propose to them that you might be young in the condition you were in. You might have been struggling with metabolic syndrome. And so the inference by you being young is that your metabolism could bail you out of this. But if you're struggling with weight issues and all these other things, that your metabolism isn't your ally at that point. You have to meet your metabolism. So I would probably say that to them, and it's a partially true that, I'm 55 and my metabolism has slowed down and my hormones have changed a little bit. But if I apply myself in the way that you did, and I have that hunger and that impulse or whatever it is to change, that's a drive in me, then I don't see anything as a limitation, right? Like you said, age, I could be 30 years older than this and say, well, if I want to get 5 more years out of this body, then I better, I can do that. I can make the changes necessary. So with caveats, but anyway, But Savani, we've had a wonderful conversation, and I really appreciate you being my guest and sharing your story, sharing some inspirational ideas, thoughts, suggestions, and advice. And as I mentioned a couple times before, I will make sure that people can discover your work down below in the description field and get access to more of this and help, hopefully. And I believe it, that lives can change from what you offer. And that's why I was really happy to have you as a guest, to have just one more thing out there in the world that people can discover you and what you're doing. And I want to just acknowledge that you're doing something really incredible. And I, to not bring up cynicism, but that you're doing it of your own kindness and your own heart. Some people, and there's nothing wrong with it, or commodifying it and turning it into a business or whatever, but it sounds like you're there telling your story, and that makes it that much more valuable to me. So I appreciate that as well, that you're giving of yourself for the sake of your fellow persons.
Yeah, honestly, I have realized that I'm just the channel. It's the higher energies that are working that help me to heal. And then my role is that whatever is the reality, I have found it. I'm the channel to, tell to the people and to whoever it reaches and helps them. There are a lot of people who have found their ways now. And I want to make people independent. Like, okay, this is the reality. This is, and then they, like anyone out in the world, should be able to heal themselves without anyone, with their own strength, with their own power. Yeah.
Right. And that's so important too. That's so important. Okay, Savani, I think we've done a good job here, or you've done a good job. And I just want to again acknowledge, my appreciation for what you're doing. And I know that's, the people that follow your work, I know they probably feel the same way. So just to share that with you, I will say goodbye to you after we stop record, but to the YouTube audience, and thank you very much for being here for this conversation. Again, if you want to continue discovering what Savani has to say or the work that she's doing, just go down there in the description field and you'll find that. So Thank you all so very much, and we'll see you in the next episode.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.